Hi Luxury Home Show, welcome back, nice to see you again. I'm Sophie Paterson, interior designer, and welcome to my Hyde Park project. So sadly this time we are not filming my house. I wish this was my house, but we've just finished a 9-month renovation of this beautiful townhouse. There's 5 stories, it's just a moment away from Hyde Park, and our client came to us when they were just buying this property and it had been refurbished, but they weren't quite happy with the decoration or the furnishing. So we've done a partial renovation, we've kept everything that we thought worked, and his brief to us was that he wanted the best house in London. So let me know in the comments if you think we've achieved that. So right now we're in the entrance hall, and things that we've changed in here is the wall colour. This is very similar to, in my hall, I don't know if you remember, I had a lime wash paint that actually wasn't that practical. This one is called Perlata, and we did it with a company called Marmo Stucco, and it's almost like a paint finish, but it's a lot more practical. You can wipe it clean, it can be repaired, and it's just a lot more robust, so great for a family home. The client here wanted a combination of antiques and contemporary pieces, which for us was a really exciting brief. We love using antiques and creating that layered feel. This was one of my favourite pieces, and it's a really nice pedestal table, which I love to do. If you've got a wide entrance hall, it kind of creates a moment where you can pause, take it all in before you walk through. And one thing that I've literally just discovered today is that it has these secret drawers. And my team obviously knew about this because they've done these gorgeous suede liners. But how special is that? I think antiques are amazing because you get incredible quality for the price that you pay. Then we've combined pieces like these antiques with much more contemporary pieces that we've designed ourselves. This one's got a practical application because every entrance hall needs somewhere to put your shoes. And so we designed this really beautiful piece of furniture. It's got a mother of pearl finish on the doors, but inside it's got all these slanted shelves so you can put your shoes there and keep all your floors nice and clean. Now I'm going to take you through to the reception room and living room, which is my favourite room in this house. Probably because of the amazing proportions and all the natural light. You've got a window at the rear of the property and the front, so you've got daylight all day long. It's very grand and it's got some beautiful features as well. All these fireplaces were original period features, and of course we wanted to keep those. It did give us a bit of a challenge though, because our client's brief was that they wanted as much seating as possible. They're a very large family and they like to have large scale parties. But when you've got a beautiful fireplace like this, you would normally centre the furniture in front of it so it's all symmetrical. But we couldn't do that because it would make the seating area much smaller. So what we did here was we pushed this curved sofa into the bay window, and that really opened up the seating area, giving you a lot more space. When you're designing a big room like this, it's nice to break up the seating areas into lots of smaller spaces. So if you're having a big party for 30, 40 people, it works well. But equally, if it's just you and one of your members of the family in here, you don't feel like you're rattling around. So you'll notice as we go around this room that we've broken up the seating into some smaller spaces that you can hang out in and it doesn't feel overwhelming. Things that we've done in here that I particularly like is tweaking the joinery. Now this is something that we did throughout this property that you'll notice a lot, because the quality of the fit out was really good, but the client didn't love the finishes. This piece of joinery that flanks the fireplace was originally the same colour as the floor, which is quite an orangey coloured oak. And whilst I love it on the floor, it gives you lots of nice warmth. On the walls as well, it felt a bit overpowering. So what we did here was we watered down a sort of limestone coloured paint, and that allows you to still see the grain of the wood, but just made it a lot more neutral, and it didn't compete with the beautiful silk wallpaper that we put in. And then we changed the ironmongery as well, these ones from our collection with Armac Martin. And then to really ramp up the luxury, we clad the back of the shelves with Calacatta Oro, and we managed to find this amazing slab that has these green veinings that go throughout it, which picks up all the colours that we've got in the colour scheme. One of the biggest changes we made in here was removing some bifold doors that originally divided these 2 rooms. The reason we did that was we wanted to unite the space, make it feel much bigger and brighter, but it also allowed us to have a lot more flexibility with the seating layout and put a lot more upholstery in. One of my favourite features in this whole room is this over here above the fireplace. Now the client only wanted to have original artwork throughout this whole property. So this is a real painting. It's not done on oil paints, it's with inks, but when you push this button, it reveals your TV. How cool is that? Now I know we've seen a lot of variations of this, but I think what makes this one so special is the fact that it's an original painting that the artist has been able to paint onto that canvas. We also did a custom frame, so everything's been really considered so it sits well with the rest of the interiors. This is an example in front of when I was talking about having lots of little seating areas. I really love this with the chessboard that we've done and the pair of armchairs in front of the fireplace. It's just a really cozy spot that you could sit, play a game of chess. I could really see the clients enjoying this on a Saturday night. Over in this bay window, again, we maximise space and we wanted to have different types of seating so it wasn't all sofas. Here we've done a curved banquette that's perfectly tailored to the curve of the window, and it's slightly more raised, so you can sit here if you want to have an afternoon tea or maybe like a small luncheon. You could sit here and we've got this gorgeous antique table that perfectly fits around it, and it's just quite a nice extra seating area to add a little different dimension to this room. On this existing piece of joinery, again, we refinished it. We took it another step further by refinishing these top cabinet doors, and this is a liquid metal finish, and when you look up close you can see it's got all this pitting and a beautiful patina, so it looks really special, almost like a crystal glass window in here. But the best thing about this is when you open it up inside, it's got a dumbwaiter, so if you're entertaining, you want canapes and drinks, they can all come up from the kitchen directly. Next up, we're going to head down to the study. There's two entrances to this room. One is off the hall, and you can also access it through the living room as well. Now, this is quite an unusual layout for a study because there is no desk. But when you're designing a client's home, it's all about factoring in how they use their home and what their lifestyle is. And with this particular client, he doesn't need a desk. He does all his work through Zoom calls. So what he wanted was a really cool Zoom background. So we've done a big, well, actually a really small TV, but we've made it as nice as we possibly can by cladding all the joinery around it with marble. And then we've given him this really cool velvet sofa so he can sit here, smoke a cigar and do his Zoom calls. Again, we restained all the joinery. We had a great French polisher on this project, and he took this oak that you can see on the shelving from that orange colour to a much darker brown, which feels much more masculine. And this is something that we've used throughout the whole property, which I really like, and that is suspending art from these poles with chains. It's quite a traditional idea. They used to do it back in the Georgian era, but we've kind of reinvented it in a more contemporary way using the bronze finishes. And I love it in here because it was an opportunity to bring more artwork. There isn't really any wall space if we didn't do it this way. So it was really nice to bring some artwork and add some more personality that way. In terms of the shelving, we've used a variation of different objects to style it, from photo frames. These are from our Addison Ross collection. And the dreaded fake books that everyone hated last time, they're back. They're back, I can't deny it. But there is some real books too, please don't hate me. And then also things like beautiful carved glass vases. The client really wants to have a variation of beautiful objects. We've got a char green vase. And this table's really fun. The fact that it like slides over the sofa so he can sit here. He likes to smoke cigars, and this feels like a really good way of doing that, so you can lean back, recline and still reach your ashtray.
I love that you've taken the wallpaper onto the ceiling a bit as well.
Oh yeah, that's something that I love to do because it makes it feel much more tailored, and you'll see that in all the bedrooms upstairs. There's a lot of wallpaper in this house. The client loves wallpaper, but I always take it into the window reveal, which you can see on that window. And if there's a sloped ceiling or anything, it just feels a lot more sort of considered rather than just having that painted. So that's it for all the main rooms on the ground floor. Just over here to the right, we have a guest toilet in there. And now I'm going to take you down to the lower ground floor where we've got the kitchen, dining room and family room. So we're now down on the lower ground floor. You'll notice the ceiling height is a lot lower because back in the day this would have been the servants' quarters, but we have made it feel a lot more luxurious today. In here we have another guest loo, and through here we have the kitchen. This kitchen was existing when our client bought this property. It's a great kitchen. We didn't want to rip it out and be wasteful, but we have made a few tweaks just to bring it in line with all the rest of the design throughout the house. One of the main changes we made here was this splashback previously was a contrasting stone. Now the worktop's quite a unique colour combination and the splashback wasn't the same, so it kind of clashed, but we ripped that out and replaced it with an antique mirror, and that works really well at bouncing more light and making it feel even more spacious. Down on the floor, we've added a little runner rug, which I love to do in a kitchen because it just adds a bit of softness. This is an indoor-outdoor rug, so if you do spill anything on it, you can just take it outside and give it a little jet wash and it will clean up. And then above the island, there was no light fixtures, so we added these fixtures from Porta Romana, which I really like, and it picks out some of the colour scheme that we've got going on in the upholstery. Over on the rear of this floor, you have the dining area, and this is quite an unusual layout. For the scale of this property, it's a relatively small dining area, and this is the only dining area they've got. So our client's brief to us here was they wanted us to make it feel as grand as possible. We added this huge mirror-tiled wall, and that does a really good job of making the space feel bigger, brighter. And then the chandelier, we chose this very carefully because we wanted to have something that would feel very glamorous, but where the ceiling height is even lower in this area, it needed to be very short, so this was the perfect option. And then for the materials, we went very luxurious, beautiful custom rug, Arabescato marble table, and this bench works really well if you want to save space in your dining area. By having a banquette that's pushed against the wall, it frees up a lot of space so you could fit a bigger table and more chairs. And we've made this one feel more luxurious by doing it in a performance velvet. Over on this side of the dining area, we've got a second dining table, which is really unusual. They wanted to have a separate dining space for the children that they might use for breakfast and lunch. And this we've made really bomb-proof. This banquette is all made of faux leather, so it's wipe clean. The fabrics on the cushions are much more practical. The top is timber rather than marble, and it's quite nice that the two spaces work together, but this one's a lot more suitable for children. So this is really fun touch, and this is, I feel like, part of our job as the interior designer is to get to know our clients really well and bring their personality into the property. This particular recipe is an old family recipe of the client, and we've had it written in beautiful calligraphy and then framed, and it's just a nice touch that even though we've designed their whole home, it's clearly all about them. It's got little mementos and, you know, recipes that are from their family, so it feels instantly like a home.
And what's the recipe for?
Pound cake. Do you know what? I haven't actually read it. I've been too busy furnishing the whole house, but let's have a look. It sounds delicious. I think we need to photograph it and try it. We talked about the dumbwaiter upstairs. This is where the dumbwaiter, all the food can get put in from. How great is that? Can you imagine having a party and the food just magically arrives? And then over this side of the room, this is another one of my favourite spaces. This is the family TV area. I just want to give a moment to these screens. We have just launched these with SWD, and the team very kindly have said that they'll link it in the description box. Screens are something we've used in our project for 10 years. They're such a great way of zoning the space, but it doesn't mean that you're blocking natural light, so all the light can still come through from other spaces, but it gives a bit of separation between the kitchen and the family room. This is one of my favourite designs we've done, and it's in a beautiful liquid bronze finish. The most important piece of furniture in any TV room is, of course, the sofa, and this one is so comfortable. Our client wanted the biggest possible sofa we could do in here, and it's the perfect spot to sit, relax, and watch the Luxury Home Show. I don't know if we had this last time we filmed together because it was about 7 months ago, but we've done a remote control box so you can hide all those ugly remotes in this beautiful shagreen box that we've launched with Addison Ross. The colour scheme that we wanted to do in here was really inspired by that worktop in the kitchen. So it's quite an unusual stone that it's got blue tones, very cool blue tones, and then some red in it. And we've taken those colours onto even the artwork. Again, we've used that same idea that we did in the study where we've suspended it from chains. And I think that works really well. It breaks up this big dark panel on the joinery. And then we've brought those colours onto the sofa. I like to keep the big piece of upholstery neutral because I feel like it's a bit more classical and you're not going to get bored of it. But all these cushions bring out that lovely colour scheme and add a lot of rich colour and depth to the room. I do sometimes do colour on upholstery as well, but it tends to be on smaller pieces like this armchair. And I really love to use a contrast fabric on the front. This is a slightly more practical fabric. And then as you look around the side, you can see we've got this beautiful patterned fabric that's a bit more delicate. Every time I design a furniture layout, I always like to think, if you're sitting here, where would you put your cup of tea or your drink? Always make sure you have a small side table next to you. So here we've got this beautiful stone and metal side table. And on the sofa, I've done a lot of over the sofa tables like I did in the study. They're great because if you're sitting back and relaxing, you can still reach and put your drink down. I think you can see where my brain's going here. It's all about relaxing. And then for furniture layouts, I like to have seating on at least 3 sides of the room so it feels more sociable. Here, where it was a bit tighter for space, we've done these little stools that are really fun. These are from Andrew Martin. This fabric's called Monte. I designed it a few years ago, and it's been really successful. It's just this lovely geometric, and I think that works really well because it makes the room feel complete. This would have felt a bit empty, but it doesn't block the walkway through to the back of the room. And then to hide the radiator covers here, we've done these custom benches, which is quite nice because you can sit here, and out through that door behind we've got a little terrace area, so in the summer the kids could be playing out there and you can sit and relax, sit on the bench. This property is very unusual in the fact that it's got 2 primary bedrooms, and where there are 2, we wanted to make sure that each one had its own identity. So this room we've gone a little bit more masculine, bolder in the colour choice, and the whole design scheme was inspired by this wallpaper. Our clients were obsessed with our Fromental chinoiserie wallpaper collection, so you'll see a lot of that throughout this property. This one is called Magnolia Canopy, and it's in the sage colourway. It's this beautiful dark green. But I think it's a nice balance of masculine and feminine because the colour scheme is quite masculine, but then the motifs with the light magnolia flowers bring that feminine edge to it. We added this whole extra bank of wardrobes because, as always in London, there is never enough storage. There was an existing dressing room, which I'll show you in a minute, but adding this here really doubled up on the storage. And by adding the wallpaper onto it, it kind of blends away. It would have been quite weird to have a whole bank of wardrobes in the middle of what is a sitting area, but by doing the same wallpaper that's on the walls, it's a lot more subtle. You'll notice in this room, as with all of the house, there's a real combination of contemporary and traditional at play. So you've got the slightly more traditional sofa with those Oxford border cushions. Then we've got this really contemporary marble table, which I love. Look at this beautiful colour Cataviola. It's got some really beautiful colours in that marble. But it's very sleek and very minimalist with the legs. And then right next to that, we've got this antique chest of drawers, which again has a marble top. So I feel like they have a good sort of relationship with each other, but it's a very different style. And I love this rich, warm mahogany colour on the wood. And as we head into the bedroom area, you'll see we've been quite bold with the colour choice on the headboard, which was inspired by that antique. But I really love how the bold colour tones contrast against the softer green on the wallpaper. And I think it just works really well because it makes sure that the room doesn't feel too cold. It has some warmth in it throughout the year. Then we've contrasted it with the curtains. Now these curtains are a really good example of trust your designer. When I first suggested this to our client, they were really unsure. They weren't sure if it would make them feel a bit claustrophobic. But the way that we've done these is they sort of sit very neatly, very flush to the bed, and they don't take up a lot of space. Rather than a traditional 4-poster where you'd have the post, we've suspended these from the ceiling, and we've just got folded bits of fabric that are very carefully pressed and stitched into place. They won't move. But it's quite a contemporary take on a 4-poster, and it's also a lot more practical because if you think about making your bed, with a 4-poster you normally have to sort of fight to tuck the sheets in around the mattress, whereas here you can kind of just gently push those curtains out the way and make your bed.
So there is actually no support going through?
No, I mean I hate to touch fabric, but no, there's nothing. It's just all suspended from the ceiling. Then over on this side of the bedroom, the client wanted to have a TV in the bedroom as well as the sitting area. So we put it above the fireplace because that's the only space that we had room for it. Because the bed's quite high, it works fine for viewing, but this is something you'd need to be mindful of if you had a much lower bed. And we also added these beautiful wall lights. I just really love how they match the wallpaper colour perfectly. All the books here, you'll be glad to know, are real. Last thing to point out in this room before we move on to the next primary is the artwork. I really love this artist. They're called Painsgray and I've used them in quite a lot of projects. It's quite hard to find artwork that works with chinoiserie wallpaper because it can compete, but what I think works about this is that it's more about the texture. They're quite small and the colours pick out the colours, you know, the brown here picks out the branches and the ivory picks out the magnolia. It's nice to layer up that wallpaper, but you've just got to pick your pieces quite carefully. So this is the primary bathroom. Now we didn't do anything in here, all the bathroom is existing and it's got this beautiful marble, so we didn't want to touch anything. The only thing we have done is accessorise. We've done all the monogrammed towels and we've added, you know, a laundry bin, some beautiful accessories like this orchid and a side table and some artwork. So we've now come up half a floor onto the landing, and this is the smallest but the cutest bedroom. This is their daughter's room, and the starting point for the design in here was the wallpaper. The clients had seen this on my Instagram. This is the safari wallpaper that I have in my daughter Ava's room, and they really wanted to use it in their daughter's room. But just to mix it up a bit, we've done it in this dusty pink colourway. And what I love about this wallpaper is it looks really sophisticated at first, so it will grow with their daughter, but it's also got all these little cute family groupings, so it also feels playful. For the bed, we went for the ultimate princess bed. There wasn't room for a 4-poster, but we've done this gorgeous half canopy above the bed. It takes up a lot less space than doing your typical 4-poster. Storage is key in any room, and this room didn't actually have any wardrobes, so we designed this wardrobe to look like it was freestanding, but it's actually built in. Details that I particularly love on this is this little bobbin trim, which is really on trend, but also very playful, so perfect for this room. And then inside you can see we've done integrated lighting, double hanging, so it's perfect for baby's clothes, but when she grows bigger you can just take that second pole out. But I just love the design, I think it works so well in here. And then we loved it so much that we've echoed that same bobbin style onto this open shelves. And then just over here we've got her own ensuite bathroom. Again, we didn't do this bathroom, but all we did was just added a custom vanity, and we took that same detail with the bobbin onto the vanity unit. So we're now in the second primary bedroom, and as you can see, it feels very different to the one we saw downstairs. It's much lighter, much brighter, a bit more feminine, and the space feels bigger as well. And the reason for that is because it has exactly the same footprint, but downstairs it had that enclosed dressing area, whereas this one is all open plan. Now, when we were designing this layout, we did a lot of variations of the layout for our client. At one point we had the bed in here. This was actually where the bed was originally meant to be. All the small power, all the plugs were put in for this area, but it didn't feel quite right to me because you walk in through the double doors and you walk straight onto the bed, whereas I like to have the bed tucked away if possible, where it's a bit more private. We've done quite a big sitting area for bedroom. It's almost like a mini apartment, which really makes sense when there's multi-generations living in the same property. We clad these existing wardrobe doors, well actually we changed the doors and we replaced them for this beautiful wallpaper, which is the branches on the breeze, and it's the same wallpaper that goes throughout the room. They've got this gorgeous bronze trim around the perimeter, and then the handles are called the Grove handle, and these are from our collection with Armac Martin. We've done 2 different styles of wardrobe, so here you can see we've got the grill above, and this is where all the air conditioning vent comes from. And then I'm going to show you the other side in a minute, where I've not taken them up to the ceiling, but I've left a little gap. And the reason for that is it allowed me to put a LED strip along the top of the wardrobes, and that just gives a lovely soft glow and hits the ceiling when it's nighttime. One of my favourite details in this room is actually a really minor detail, but it's often those little touches that make such a big difference. So if you come down here, you'll see that we did this really gorgeous trim along the perimeter of the sofa, and then we found this tassel table, and it just felt like the perfect combination because it echoes that same tassel motif. And I really like things like that, where you kind of take a small detail onto one piece, onto another, and it echoes around the room. So if we head over to the bed area of the bedroom, you can see we've got this gorgeous screen divider, which we had custom made. This fabric is by Fortuny, which is an amazing fabric house in Italy. It's all silk and hand printed. And the reason we've done that is it can zone the bedroom, but you can also expand it if you wanted to have some separation completely from the dressing area to the bedroom area. Now for the bed, we went for a very different style to downstairs. In here, it wouldn't have worked to have had the 4-poster because the ceiling height is not quite as generous. So instead we went for a very ornate shaped headboard. I really love the soft organic curves on this, and I think it works really well with the branches and the breeze wallpaper. And then before we head upstairs to the kids' floor, you've just got a ensuite bathroom on the left, which is exactly the same as the one downstairs. We've now come up to the 5th floor. I am a little bit out of breath, so do forgive me, but the vibe is very different up here. It's a lot more playful. This has got the 2 sons' bedrooms, and we really wanted to create a floor that felt special for them. Before you go into the bedroom area itself, we've got this really oversized landing, and we made the most of it by putting this sideboard so they can store all their extra toys and games that they don't have room for in their bedrooms in here. And I particularly love this little armchair, which from the front doesn't look that different, but if you look from the side, it's got this really fun, funky shape, and it feels appropriate for the kids' floor. So we're now in the first son's bedroom. I really love this colour scheme. We've gone for some really rich colours in here. You can see on the bedside table, we've got this gorgeous aubergine purple, which is quite an unusual colour to use in a boys' room, but I think we've done it in quite a masculine way. And then the headboard is one of my favourite features too, with these leather details of the buckles. This was really cool and feels quite preppy. And then we've mirrored that onto the mirror. It's definitely a theme that comes across in this room, as the use of leather as quite a sort of like boyish, preppy material to use. We wanted to follow our client's brief that they want all the children's bedrooms to grow with them. So I always get a lot of feedback that my children, or the children's bedrooms I design, are quite sophisticated, but I think it's important that you're designing for the long term. Children grow up so quickly, you know, you don't want to be redecorating their bedrooms every 3 years, but there are small tricks you can use to bring their personality through. So I expect this bedroom will be personalised more over time, but this son was really into cricket, so we thought it was a really nice idea, rather than putting artwork here, was to hang some cricket bats. For the lighting, we really wanted to layer up lighting. Now, lighting's important in every room, but even in a children's bedroom, you shouldn't overlook the lighting. It's a really important way to make it feel cosy and inviting, and I think it really helps everyone relax into their interior. So we've done a lot of levels of lighting here. Not only have you got the down lights, but we've also got these really cute wall lights that are from Porta Romana. I think these are toucans, and again, it's about bringing those natural references, a little playful touch into here. And then we've got these quite sort of masculine bedside table lamps. This has got a leather base that kind of wraps around with a metal shade. And I think that works really well with the handles on the bedside tables. We're now in the second son's bedroom, and if you're still with us, well done. This is the last bedroom on the tour. You've done well to get to this point. This room has a very similar vibe to next door. We've used a lot of the same design ideas, but implemented them in a different way with a different colour scheme. So we'll start with the wallpaper, where we've used a bold patterned wallpaper across all the walls. This is a new wallpaper design that I've done with Andrew Martin. It's not launched yet, it's the very first room to have it. But I really love layering patterns on top of patterns, so you can see even the lampshade on front, it's got herringbone. And maybe if you were looking at this as a scheme and a mood board, it might feel a bit too much, but I think that layering of patterns is what makes it playful, and when it's dispersed in a room, it just makes sense. Another way that we've brought a more playful edge into this room is through the shapes of the furniture, like we did next door. So here you can see we've got this organic shaped curved headboard, and then that echoes onto the shape of the wall lights that have that same organic shape. And I really love the fabric choices as well. We've gone for a boucle, and this almost feels like you've got a teddy bed, like it's just, you want to cuddle it and snuggle into it. And then little details like the leather trim just makes it a bit more sophisticated. For the artwork, we've kept it quite simple. There's a lot of botanical, these are real botanics that have been pressed. And that felt really appropriate because not only are we near Hyde Park and we wanted to bring the nature in, but this son really loves nature and the outside, so we wanted to bring that into this room for him. And then we've taken that motif from the artwork down onto the cushion, again with the botanical references. And that really has inspired the colour scheme from the sort of tanny brown colours that we've got on the headboard to the green accents. Diagonally opposite the bed, we have a little reading corner. I really love this fun, playful chair. It's got a very sort of mid-century vibe, and we've stuck with a botanical theme with the green boucle and then this kind of wicker pattern on the cushion. Over here, we've got some shelves that we inherited. As with all the joinery, we just refinished it, and then we've put the wallpaper into that recess and into the window reveal as well. Similarly to how I did in the study, it just feels a lot more tailored when you do that, rather than if you finished on this edge, you'd have a raw edge, and then you just have paint there and it wouldn't look quite as cool. Behind this door, we have another ensuite bathroom, and as with all the bathrooms, we didn't design this one, we've just accessorized it with artwork and towels. So that is a wrap for this tour. If you'd like to know more details about the suppliers and a bit more detail in each of the rooms, you can also watch the tour on our own channel, Sophie Paterson Interiors. But thank you so much for coming, Luxury Home Show. It's been a pleasure showing you around, and I'll see you very soon. Hi Luxury Home Show, I'm Sophie Paterson, I'm an interior designer, and welcome to my home.